Here's a question, and then President Bush's answer.
Is France reconciled with the United States? The United States is reconciled with France. So what about Iraq? Can France, for instance, help to get out of the Iraqi quagmire? And President Bush, where do you stand on Iraq and your domestic debate on Iraq? Do you have a timetable for withdrawing troops?
I don't. You know, quagmire is an interesting word. If you lived in Iraq and lived under a tyranny, you'd be saying, God, I love freedom. Because that's what's happened. And there are killers and radicals and murderers who kill the innocent to stop the advance of freedom. But freedom's happening in Iraq. And we're making progress.
All right, let's take it one at a time. First, I saw the video of this, and we only have the audio here, unfortunately, but in the video, you get a more profound sense of what a clown the man is, right? He says certain things, and he gets proud. There's nothing to be proud of, but like he thinks he's made an interesting point. So when he pauses there, like there was a pause there. He said, "Quagmire is an interesting word," and then you heard a pause for a while, and then he picked it up. In that pause, what he's doing is he's looking at the reporter like, "I got you, didn't I?" But what did you get her on? What do you mean? So quagmire is an interesting word. What does that mean? He's like, what he's saying to her, the rest of us don't get it, so let me decipher it for you, because I've been listening to the man for a long time. What he's saying to her is, I got you. I know you use the word quagmire, and it's a loaded word, and I'm not going to allow it, and I'm not going to stand for it. Ha ha, I caught you. That's what that pause is. Quagmire is an interesting word. Okay. And then he goes on, and he says, what are you talking about? If I was in Iraq, I'd be like, oh, thank God for freedom that George Bush brought me. I feel so good about it. Man, that's why I ran away from the country. Look, let's say two facts, and how he's saying how happy the Iraqis are for the freedom that he brought, right? The two facts. One is the number of people that are displaced in Iraq, and then number two is the number of people that died in Iraq. The number of people that died in Iraq, the most conservative number I've ever seen is 76,000 civilians since the war began. Think about how profound a number that is. 76,000 civilians. Iraq is less than 10% of the size of the United States. We lost 3,000 and we invaded two countries over it on 9/11. They lost 76,000. But you got to understand how conservative a number that is. Other numbers range to several hundred thousand, 600,000, a million civilians killed. I don't know which one's the correct number. I have no idea. I got to be honest with you. The guys who do the math on it, some sound convincing and others say, all right, okay. But it doesn't matter if it's 76,000 or a million. The number of civilians that have died in this war is profound no matter how you look at it. Do you think that they're happy about the freedom you brought them, George Bush? You think, are they saying, and their families, the families of all those people that were killed, are they saying, oh, thank God for the freedom George Bush brought us? Woo! Now, how about the 4 million people that have been displaced? No one argues with this number. 2 million internally displaced because of the ethnic cleansing. You know what? For the moment being, let's leave them aside. Let's talk about the 2 million people who have fled the country. Over 2 million. Ran away from the country. Now, why did they run away from the country if they're yelling, thank God for freedom? What, the freedom to get the hell out? They don't seem that thankful of what you brought them in Iraq as they literally ran away from the country. So get a sense of how big the number 2 billion is. That is 10% of Iraq's population. It's as if something happened in America, think about it this way, where 10% of our population left. It was so traumatic that 10% of our population left. You know what that number would be? 30 million people. Can you imagine if 30 million people ran away from America because of the trauma that was going on, let alone another 30 million that was internally displaced because of the ethnic cleansing, let alone untold millions that were killed in a war. And you think they're saying, thank God that this happened? Look, you're the President of the United States of America. Even if you believe this, you have to be, first of all, you're nuts if you believe it. Second of all, you have to be more responsible than that. And what kind of a message are you sending? Nobody's going to take you seriously. When you say something like that, the French people, the whole international community, and the Iraqi people think you're a clown. nobody's going to say what you take seriously if you really believe and say to them that the Iraqi people are thankful for what you did to Iraq. Really? Thankful? How could anyone possibly believe that? I don't know whether I'm rooting for him to actually believe it or for him to be lying to us. Because I hope to God he's not that deluded. That he goes home and thinks, oh, the Iraqi people must be thanking me tonight. Wow. Either way, we're in a heap of trouble. We got a whole nother year with this guy. Young Turks.